Hey everybody, welcome back to Slinging Dirt this week. We are not going to have a lot of different subjects, but we're going to have one big subject. We're going to be talking with Tom Gutowski, the competition director for IMCA.
Probably wrap up the show with another Songer Says, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, Songer's always got something to talk about, so stay tuned. It's Slinging Dirt. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slinging Dirt this week. I'm Buddy Ray.
I'm Matt Dennis.
So let's just get to it. We don't have a lot of subjects to talk about. This is going to be a little bit of a longer show to give you a FYI. But I tell you what, for the content that we do have, we have the one and only IMCA competition director, Tom Gutowski. Had a lot to talk about. I don't know about you. I like Tom. He's a really cool guy.
I've always liked him. I mean, and don't get me wrong, as a past promoter, everybody's had issues with promoters at one time or another. But outside of that, I've always liked him. I've always got along with him. And I've seen him enough in the tech area, whether I wanted to have a problem or not, I couldn't have a problem.
You know, the one nice thing about Tom Gutowski is his phone's always open. You can call him anytime you want. A lot of drivers, in fact, before we did the interview here, he was on the phone with a driver out of Colorado. Wonder who that could have been. I believe it was a sport mod racer, and he was talking to him for about 20 minutes, and he doesn't rush you either. He wants to make sure that you understand the rules, or the rule in question, and he'll go to great lengths to make sure that you understand what you should be and should not be doing. You know, as found in the interview when y'all gave me a 6,400 RPM chip on my crate engine. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah. So.
And even during the interview, we took a short break, and he's on the phone with the great Bill Martin.
Yeah.
Getting an answer to this week's trivia question.
Yeah, I tell you what we're going to do with this week's trivia question. You're going to have to pay attention to the interview. On this week's trivia question, I'm going to give away 6 free races to the first person that can answer the trivia question. So you're going to have to pay attention to the interview because we talk about this. I'm pretty sure, well, I know we talked about it. So 6 free races to Joe's Karting, but you got to watch the interview, you got to catch the trivia question, then you got to answer the trivia question. And you need to answer the trivia question on the Slinging Dirt page, not the Joe's page, the Slinging Dirt TV page on Facebook. So, tell you what, let's just get to it. Here is Tom Gutowski. Hey everybody, welcome back to another week of Slinging Dirt this week. Boy, we are excited. We have the competition director and a guy that's probably gonna pick my car apart after the recording's done. We have Tom Gutowski. Tom, thanks for joining us. I know it's pretty early in the morning.
It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, for Bud, that's early.
Yeah.
That's early for you.
It is early. So, how you been doing?
I've been doing well.
You've been all over the nation this year, going to all these tracks. How many tracks have you been to now?
I think I'm at 30.
That's actually, I thought you'd be closer to 40 or 50.
I think my first year I did 55, and that was a ton.
A ton.
A ton.
When you did that, I gotta ask, what was your favorite track or favorite part of the U.S. to go to?
Well, I don't have a favorite track. Any IMCA track is a good track.
Yeah.
You can't have favorites. I mean, if I had a favorite, I guess maybe it'd be Harlan, Iowa. You know, that I promoted for so many years.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's kind of sentimental for you, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was overgrown with weeds, and the front wall was made out of railroad timbers and literally rotted to death. And,
What year was that?
1991.
Yeah, really? I didn't realize it had railroad timbers for a wall.
Yeah, in front.
Oh my God.
It had guardrail all the way around it too, with 30-year-old rotted timbers, and I mean, all the driver had to do was just brush the guardrail and it would fall down. So to get through the night, we would go over with a wrecker and raise the guardrail back up on the post and wrap chain around it to hold it. just so we could get through the night. So
My, how that track has come along.
well, yes, we did a lot of improvements, a lot of money, a lot of blood, sweat, and volunteer hours went into it, like any racetrack. And thank God for all the people that offered to help, and the people in the community that wanted it opened up again. And,
Yeah. Let's go back to the very, very beginning. Everybody in IMCA knows who you are. If you don't know who Tom Gutowski is and you're an IMCA member, I don't even know what to say to that. But with that being said, talk about the early days. What got you into racing?
Well, it goes back to, like any kid, my dad took me to the races when I was little. He had a friend that raced. This was right after World War II when racing started again. They were running coops. It was Lorain County Speedway in Ohio, where I'm from. A little town called Elyria, which is, I think it was maybe 14,000 people back then, now it's 60-some thousand. And basically a suburb of Cleveland. It's like 25 miles away.
Back then it wasn't a suburb.
No, but it was heavily industrial, like the North was, and a lot of auto manufacturing and, subcontractors and stuff. So darn near everybody was blue collar, like my dad worked in the shop, and he didn't work in the automotive industry. He built glass line stainless steel tanks, probably something that, you would see in maybe a milk factory or something that's got to have pure things like that. So he did that for 40-some years. But anyhow, I diverged. Went to the races with my dad always, and my dad did his own car maintenance. He was a product of the Depression, so he learned to do everything himself. And he was a Mr. Fix-It. I think he had Popular Mechanics subscription for 90 years or whatever it was. Because he got that man. He'd do little projects, but he always fixed his own stuff. And then for the family members, he'd do their tune-ups and things like that. So I was always in the garage with my dad,
Right.
learning about cars and helping, And so that got my interest. And as I got older, racing in general, basically drag racing was the big things that the high schoolers did and all that, that kind of thing. So we did some street racing and stuff, but
Tom Gutowski did street racing.
of course, everybody did street racing.
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah. So anyhow, right after I graduated high school, I went into service in the Air Force, and the car thing just kind of got put on the back shelf, and then I got married to a gal up in Duluth, Minnesota, where I was stationed after I went to tech school and stuff. Did my stint in Vietnam like most, and came back and cross-trained into computers. I went to computer school in Mississippi, where I bought my first and only brand new car.
Wow.
It was a 68.5 Plymouth Roadrunner.
You don't have it still, do you?
Oh God, I wish I did.
That seems to be a normal thing with some of the older guys is their old street rods, hot rods, muscle cars. Damn, I wish I still had that.
Oh, yes. Well, the story gets worse as we go down the line.
Oh boy.
So I got stationed here at Offutt and in the underground, and worked on the computers in the SAC underground and stuff. And then I ended up getting divorced in '75, and by then I was out of the service in '72. I did a little over 8 years, 2 months, and they wanted to send me back to Vietnam. I said, nah, this is enough. And then by that time I had a 2.5-year-old baby and a 6-month-old baby. And as it turned out, sadly, a few years later, I ended up getting divorced, and by that time I was in the insurance business working for New York Life. They had taught me the life and health insurance business, pension planning, estate planning, and I was doing really well with that, and popped a few big cases and went out and bought my first Corvette. that I always wanted my whole life.
I'm seeing a need for speed in your life here.
So, well, back in those days, you could buy a mid-year Corvette, 63 to 67 for $2,500, $2,000. And this car, it was blue Metaflight paint. It had molded fiberglass wheel well extensions on it, fat tires, and actually had a not functional roll cage in it. It was made out
Right.
of square tubing,
Oh.
but it was silver Metaflight.
Oh, it was silver. A silver metal flick is what made it.
So anyhow, that was my hot rod, and I had made considerable money for that period of time. It was over $30,000 in like 5 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 1975, and I took the summer off and took my new Corvette back to Ohio, and my cousin and I pulled the engine, rebuilt the motor, and did all that kind of stuff, and I had a fun summer. Corvetting and playing around, and so joined the Corvette Club, started slalom racing, pylon racing, which teaches you precision and car control and that kind of thing. Braking, you got to brake. Can't go fast without brakes, even on a dirt car.
Why y'all looking at me?
So
As often as I'm on the brakes, I don't be flying.
I did quite well with that, and I had joined the local Corvette club, Cornhusker Corvette Club here in Omaha, or over there in Omaha, which at the time was the largest Corvette club in the United States. That was a member of the National Council of Corvette Clubs. And in '78, the membership, we had about 25, 30 of us every weekend. During the season, we would load up our cars. Some drove them. Mine got trailered because it was dedicated to what I was doing.
Right.
It was an LT1 hardtop convertible. It had the hardtop with it. I ran it no top, and it had a chrome roll bar in it that Mickey McConnell built for it.
Wow.
It was a bolt-in roll bar.
There's a name
Wow.
people haven't heard for a
So
long time.
I mean, I've known a lot of people in Omaha for a long, long time, the racing community and car builders. So anyhow, the club made a push that we were determined we were going to be the champions that year, the national champions, and I was the president at the time, and we were. And so the following summer, they had the convention in Colorado Springs at the Broadmoor, and I've got a picture of Zora Arca presenting me with the big silver bowl and all that, and that was pretty exciting. And from there, I kind of got bored with the pylon racing and was determined to go road racing. So that's what we did. We converted a different car. It was actually a '63 Corvette Roadster that Phil Kneifel owned. And another name that I'm going to drop is Al Drusdale.
Wow.
Helped build and drove it from time to time. And another guy named Les Hansen, who's no longer with us. But Les Hansen is Bev Sorensen's sister.
Oh.
Corey and Barry over in Harlan.
So you're not even really, at this time, you're not even dirt track racing, but you're associating with the dirt racer community.
Yeah, there is another side of racing besides dirt. There's,
Yeah.
the drag racing and the road racers. And
I thought the other side was how fast you can get to the track when you're running late.
that is another side.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's then I was the mid-division champion in B production, and then the following year I was leading it, but I wanted to race some higher level races, what they call national races. They used to do regional nationals. Nothing close to here. I think the closest place was maybe Wentzville, Missouri, St. Louis. We used to go there a lot. And then Hutchinson, Kansas, which used to be an old Army Air Base. They put the road course out on the runways and stuff. for years. And the Corvette Club used to go there and race what they would call, our actual road course, not pylons.
Right.
So again, it was one car at a time, against time. So you're always trying to have the fastest time in your division.
When you're going around all these tracks and you're doing your daily stuff with IMCA, do you still go back and follow what's going on in the world of drag racing and road course racing? Do you try to keep up a little bit with that?
No, not really. Drag racing, not so much. When Rick and I had Fast Lane Performance, we were, of course, I was still road racing part of the time, but then SCCA let dedicated tube frame Trans Am cars running the production class. And that really made my car, which was a production-based car, probably you could equate it to a stock car.
Okay.
It had to have a lot of the original stuff
Yeah.
on it. You couldn't be changing things. So that pretty much forced me out of the game. I had my car sold, but in the regional race on Saturday, the brake bar come out of the master cylinder, the OEM master cylinder that we had to race in a production car. Went off into the trees, and that ended that. So I ended up salvaging that race car and selling the motor and stuff like that. And dirt racer that you're familiar with bought the motor out of it, which was for Pro-Am, not really a legal motor. So his name will remain anonymous.
Yeah, that name will remain anonymous.
But that was a long time ago. That motor, I'm sure, is long gone by now. So anyhow, where were we? Well, then so Rick and I had Fast Lane, and then Midwest Speed when Emery Emond, who was subleasing his space, he decided to close his doors. Well, people kept coming to that location on Mockingbird Drive across from Channel 3 TV to buy race car parts and performance parts, intake manifolds, and all that kind of stuff. And Rick and I gladly sold it to him. And that was the recession of 1979, 80, 81, when interest rates got to be 21%. Oh, and by that time you had to have collateral to buy a Corvette, any Corvette.
Wow.
And we had about $120,000 out to the bank on our floor plan and 21% interest rates and the rent and the insurance. Basically, we were working for everybody but ourselves.
Yeah.
But we made it through that, and the performance parts thing kind of pulled us out of that. And we ended up growing fairly fast and ended up moving down to 72nd L in the old Carl Anderson parts store, which just got torn down last year.
What?
Anyway, that was part of Ford Storage.
Okay, Ford Storage. All right.
Yeah, now it's something else.
Well, for young bucks like us, I'm like, well, what would have been there? Or what would we have done?
I remember Menards being there.
Yeah.
Well, the old adage about location is true, because our business doubled the first month.
Really? Being centrally located.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it pushed sales really, really close to the high sixes.
Wow.
Almost breaking the seven digits, so.
Was you guys ready for growth like that when that happened?
Well, Rick and I were frugal, to say the least. We didn't believe in borrowing money, so we owned our inventory. So, it was, we just kept plowing the profits back into it. But eventually, yeah, we did have to, because we expanded our repair business, had to buy lifts and, more of the equipment to keep the auto repair side up to date.
Right.
And then we did custom installation, like lift kits. Anything you wanted, you could come to us. And we eventually had an exhaust shop in there. And then we started our own chassis shop about the time that IMCA came to Eagle Raceway. And the Beechams, who were friends, John especially, was in the Corvette Club.
I remember the Beechams.
Yeah. And they put together, they knew I was out road racing, and they put together the Budweiser M1 car for me, and I became the first registered IMCA driver in Nebraska.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought you would not have. Huh. That's
Yeah, I brought my
interesting.
life, yeah. So bought my license in '84, and I bought Mike Frieden's car off of him. He rolled it on the trailer after he got claimed at I-70 dirt race back then when they covered it, and brought it up here, and we stripped it and had it ready for the fall auto show circuit. We had about 3 weeks to get it back together and looking good.
So the N1 car actually came out of I-70?
Well, I bought it from Mike Frieden.
Mike.
Mike Frieden was a two-time Super National champion.
Okay. All right. I was
From Eastern Iowa.
Yeah.
His dad was Al Frieden.
Okay.
Al Frieden was the guy that brought NASCAR to the Midwest. Al had West Liberty and promoted Hawkeye Downs, which was dirt at the time.
I've always wanted to see that track when it was dirt.
I mean, it was a fun time. So I've had the honor or misfortune to race the last dirt race at I-70 and also the last dirt race at Hawkeye Downs.
Now, Hawkeye Downs, when they went pavement, weren't they IMCA sanctioned for like the first year or two?
They tried to maintain some of it.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure about the first year or two. Because that was a NASCAR track. Actually, way back in the beginning, Corning sanctioned IMCA modifieds and Hawkeye Downs.
Yeah.
So they ran basically a co-sanction. They ran all their NASCAR classes in IMCA modifieds.
Okay.
Well, Al and Keith Mack, obviously they knew each other because
Yeah.
they were pretty much the powers that be over in Iowa, especially central and eastern Iowa.
Okay.
So there was a lot of stuff that was run co-sanctioned, then the co-sanctioning stopped. And for whatever reason, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Whether it was just, we don't want their name involved with ours or whatever it was. So makes no difference. It's
Oh,
history.
okay.
So, and then Craig Kelly at Sunset would run them with specials once in a while.
Yeah, I remember growing up as a kid going to Sunset. That was
Yeah.
when the IMCA modifieds went to Sunset. That was a good show.
Probably my biggest win was actually at Sunset Speedway. And I won the modified portion of I think then it was the Busch All-Star Tour.
I remember that with the late models.
Yeah,
Yep.
Joe Kosiski won the late model thing, and I beat Kevin Larkins on a dry slip.
The way he says that, folks, and I beat Kevin Larkins.
Well, Kevin has been a good friend for a good many years, and I don't think you can find too many people any better than him on the slick.
Yeah, he's very smooth, very methodical.
And it happened to be the only dirt race my mother ever saw me race. Because they're from Ohio,
Oh,
Yeah,
but coming from Iowa, I mean, I would have thought they would have seen you race more in Iowa or something.
No. Ohio's a long ways away.
Or, okay, Ohio. I thought you meant Iowa. Oh, yeah, Ohio's a long ways away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, we're up to there. Then I was racing over in Denison, Iowa, the first year they opened that up, and it got to be July, and the promoter left the keys under the flower pot. I developed a good relationship with the fair board and the race staff over there, the workers and stuff, and they asked me if I'd promote it the rest of the year, and I said, okay, I'll do that, but I'm not going to stop racing here.
Yeah.
Because by then I was driving for Bill Purdy out of Council Bluffs.
Okay.
So I did that, and my very first race, I got to meet the Anderson family, who have since become very good friends, but we didn't have a very smooth start.
In
Love you, Jeff.
this sport, that seems to happen quite a bit.
Yeah.
No. And believe it or not, the Andersons and I have become good friends over the years.
Yeah.
And stuff. I mean, they know racing's racing. I got to do what I got to do, and Jeff's going to do what he's got to do. So, and the same way with Shannon. I mean, Shannon was just a little tight, when I met him.
He's still a little tight.
Well, no, he's a pretty big guy now. So So then I did my stint with promoting, and I had an opportunity to, after 9/11, there was a sea change in the air coming, and I think it actually all goes back to that. And there was a change in attitude. I think some racers looked down inside and said, maybe I need to spend a little more time with my family. You know, so the 3-night-a-week racer cut back to 2, the 2-night-a-weeker cut back to 1, and some of them said, I think I need to just stop. So that to me kind of started it. It didn't go right away.
With the downfall.
Yeah, and then along about that time comes the internet and social media and all these other distractions that make it so easy to just sit in your house and drink a cold 12-pack in the air conditioning and watch racing on TV or on the internet. And then complain on the forums about what a crappy race it was.
Yeah, you know, Matt had here a couple weeks ago in Slinging Dirt, he had a good observation. Everybody is so quick to blame social media, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, Instagram. They're so quick to blame it. But is it really social media's fault, or is it fundamentally the person's fault that posts this stuff on that social media?
Well,
It's kind of like the gun mentality.
the social media actually, it's got a good side and a bad side.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's a two-sided sword, you know. And on the good side, it's a great way to get exposure and get the word out about your place, your product. But then you have to give them a good place and a good product
Yeah.
to make them want to come back. You know, most everybody will give you a shot, but if you got a 4 or 5 hour program every night, it's just dragging. You know, I don't get to go to a race and be a spectator very much, but even as an official, when I can see, why are we not doing something?
Yeah.
You know, it's not that I really need to go be home at any certain time, but it's just all that downtime is crazy.
Well, and especially for some of these tracks that they might get 60, 70 cars and it lasts for 5, 6, 7 hours.
Oh.
But then you've got tracks that'll knock out a show in 5 hours with 120 cars.
Yeah, or like Eagle, you know, 3.5 hours.
Right.
And they've got 130 or whatever. I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough to take my oldest boy and his family down to Eagle, and my girlfriend and her family down to Eagle last Saturday night, and they had a wonderful time. It was 3.5 hours.
I remember that year that I won the A feature down there. I think we were averaging
I do too.
183. Yeah, how's that back feeling?
It still gives me pain.
I might be small in stature, but I'm a lot stronger than I look.
But you're heavy.
So,
That's how he keeps his left side.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, back to what we were talking about, back in 11, we were averaging 183 cars a night for weekly racing, and like you said, 3.5, maybe 4 hours on the long end, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah. Roger does a heck of a job of keeping the show moving and keeping it choreographed. It's really like a ballet. You know, you need to start on time, and you need to have target times that you're going to do this, this, and that. I mean, there's some nights when we can't drive the cars for the racers.
Right.
You know, and thank God the full moon was last night, not on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because you know, even as officials, we said that you can tell it's a full moon tonight.
Oh, yeah.
It's like they disconnected their brains.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if we were ever really connected to begin with. I mean, let's get real.
So anyhow, I did my thing with promoting. Had 3 tracks at one time for a little over a year. Harlan, well, Denison, of course, was first, then opened Harlan, and then I went and partnered with the Mummards up in Buena Vista Raceway, which I had only raced at once or twice, I think, but it was a fun little track at the time. So, but 3 tracks was too much, especially when you were the bookkeeper and the advertising guy. And, you know, it was basically a one-man shop. I had Lori Klein, who worked with me and eventually became a partner in the track, who ran my concessions and stuff, and which became our concessions, and just did a wonderful job. And I didn't have to worry about that or the grandstand side. She kind of did the tickets and, you know, security, and on top of the food and organizing everything over there. And I got to do the race side and worry about the pit side and pit passes and all that kind of stuff. So
Oh, okay.
it was an excellent partnership, and you know, if I was ever foolish enough to think about doing it again, I'd want her back.
Hey guys, I'm Jeff with DriveDirtCars.com. Does your current race operation look like this? Well, if it does, give us a call at 815-990-2657. We're actually financing Harris Race Cars and CMC Crate Motor Connection crate motors for your racing operation. Our payments range anywhere from $200 to $350 a month. If you'd like to get a new motor or you'd like to get a new chassis, give us a call, 815-990-2657.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. We've got the legendary Tom Gutowski from, hey, for guys like us, you're legendary.
All right.
I mean, do you ever feel like a father to a bunch of race car drivers?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all the guys that I race with now, their sons are driving, or daughters.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you really take a lot of honor in being able to watch these families with multi-generational racers? You're like, I remember when your dad raced, and I remember when your aunt or your uncle raced, and now you're racing, and now I'm watching your kids come up.
Yeah, yeah. There is a lot of satisfaction in that.
Yeah.
Of watching how everybody. Well, Shannon Anderson's like one
Oh,
of
yeah.
Is probably the most successful one that I know of in his own right, and I mean, he was just a little tyke.
Yep.
You know, he was probably out of diapers, but
So we're back from commercial break. Talk about that transition where you're now with IMC, because when you went to IMC and became the competition director, people were like, whoa, Tom Gutowski's made it to the top.
well,
Which you should have. I mean,
I felt that way too. But I went after the job. It was available. IMCA had advertised for it, and I went after the job. I thought that I was well qualified for it, and as it turned out, so did Brett and so did Kathy. And November 6th of 2006, I signed my employment contract with them. So it's been 10 years now. It's hard. It's gone by so fast. I can't believe it.
in 1 decade of working with IMC, what is the most satisfying thing about your job?
Well, Brett and I have talked about it, and I think just about everybody at IMCA is the same way, that we get to interact with so many people from varied walks of life in different geographical locations across the country. California doesn't have the same problems that Iowa has. Iowa doesn't have the same problems that New York has.
Right.
And then you go from Texas, North Dakota, and Estevan, Canada, like on the Dakota Tour. So we're spread out, and you know, there's over 200 sanctions, and over 9,000, excuse me, drivers participated last year. I'm sure we're going to surpass that this year.
9,000.
9,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it dwarfs any other weekly sanctioning body for dirt racing. I don't know about drag racing in the NHRA, but
That's got to be a daunting task to keep up with 9,000 drivers.
well, it gets kind of busy on Monday Hell Day. That's how I refer to it, as Monday's Hell Day. And so we do field a lot of calls with people that have got problems or actually have questions. Is this right or is that right? And maybe a tech guy said you need to fix this, and they wanted to verify that. So it can get pretty busy.
And then something else to throw in is this time of year when the points are all starting to wrap up, you got people calling in, how many points does this person have? How many nights do they have left?
Well, thankfully, we have one of the best in the business, and her assistant, Virginia Lindsay, and
She's a
Jennifer,
sweetheart.
Jennifer Parr. And it truly is the people that make IMCA. The people that we have in the home office have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
They love their job. they know the people. Even when I was promoting, and I was having a bad day or a bad weekend or whatever, I call the home office and talk to Virginia, and that woman never has a bad day.
No, she doesn't.
I mean, she is always the most cheerful person in the world, and I always hung up the phone feeling better.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes right down with all the staff now. I mean, and they've expanded the staff, and I think Jim Spanner, who was just recently promoted to the vice president position. That man has done an outstanding job for us because he's probably one of the biggest reasons we're growing, because he's out pounding the pavement. He hates motels, so he drives. But Jim has done an outstanding job with basically growing our presence in the marketplace. And so is Brett, but Jim's out there pounding the pavement, doing the PR, and the hard work that's necessary to do it. And Super Dave, you can't get any better than Super Dave. And Kirk, he's been 15, 16 years now.
Yeah,
as the
he's been up
stock
there.
car,
Yeah.
hobby stock car director. I mean, he's great. Even our regional people have been there a long, long time. Paul Vetter out in California, even Alan, who had to resign basically for health reasons. After he was done promoting Beatrice, he slid right into that, did an outstanding job for us. And I don't know, it's just great people to work
Right.
with and work for, and we make a hell of a team.
You know, having that hell of a team behind you, what do you think, how do you feel about the general growth looking forward, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road for IMCA?
Well, for IMCA, I think it's excellent. I mean, there's probably going to be a point where you can't sanction every racetrack in the United States.
You're making a hell of a run for it.
So I see excellent prospects because I think basically we're doing the right thing. And a lot of people say, you need to get with the times and all that. Well, holding back technology is hard work. And a lot of times we're about a year behind, because the chassis builders and the shop people and everybody else just keeps going and going and going. And we're trying to slow things down. We're trying to make it as affordable as possible without making you race a dinosaur. We don't want 20-year-old cars on the racetrack.
No.
I don't think anybody does. I think today's modified and sport stock cars, even the hobby stocks, are good-looking cars. They're recognizable as cars, and not, my endearing reference to Southern Street Stock. So anyhow, I see a lot of good things going forward for IMCA. I think it's a huge benefit to be an IMCA sanctioned track, and because we bring a set of rules and a set of procedures that are good for the racer. And I've always thought the biggest pool of cars wins. So you can get 3 tracks working together on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. You can build a pool of cars. Is everybody going to race all 3 nights? No. You're going to have your 1-nighter, your 2-nighters, and some will want to race 3 nights.
Right.
Back in the 90s when I started, there was a lot of people racing 3 nights a week. When I started racing a modified, if we could go race somewhere, we went and raced. We'd haul out to David City on maybe a Thursday night or something like that for maybe $90 to win.
$90 to win, and you guys are complaining about today's payout.
Yeah.
$90 to win.
And going back to that, a lot of people complain about the payouts. Well, how old was that 15 years ago? Well, there's so many things out there now that a promoter or a sanction body really doesn't control. Insurance is one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's probably not as bad as some think, but it's way worse than most give you credit for. And you gotta have it. And the cost of fuel,
Yep.
at the cost of water. At my 3 tracks, 2 of them I had to use city water.
Oh.
So, I had a $900, $1,200 water bill back in the 90s. I would hate to think what it might be nowadays. Maintaining your equipment, and then the staff, you know. I didn't have volunteers. Now, a lot of association run tracks will have some volunteers. The associations up on the tour and stuff that have been there for 25 and 30 years, they have a lot of volunteers. You know, and that reduces the payroll, and it just helps things, everybody to meet their nut and have money left over to make improvements and that kind of, you know, transponders and all that those aren't free.
No, transponder systems,
I think that's one of the best improvements we've seen in dirt racing.
getting the transponder or getting the receiver are two of the biggest racer improvements that I've seen. Because it helps line the racers up, helps the scorers keep everything in line
Yeah.
as far as the race goes on. But neither one of the objects is cheap.
No, when I looked into it back when, I think it was gonna be about $75,000 to do the
Wow.
whole system. And the loop was the cheap part. They'll give you the loop.
Yeah.
They wanna sell you the software,
Yeah.
you know, and then you had to have a scoreboard. Well, we did have a scoreboard back then, thanks to Cookies, who did them at all three tracks, Denison, Harlan, and Vista Raceway back then. But now Harlan has replaced their board just because it was old and weather, you know, and have updated now. I think they have their transponders tied into, you know, the right electronics and stuff. So, yeah, the transponder thing is really, really nice, but it's pricey.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, 200 and some cars at the tiny one, so I'm thinking, you know,
I remember those.
I was
tiny
wanting
ones.
if we were gonna use transponders, I wanted everybody to have a transponder.
Yeah.
You know, not just the modifieds or sport mods or stock cars.
Yeah. I just had a brain fart. Completely lost my train of thought. I'm just sitting here stuck on that $75,000 bill for transponders. We have transponders at work, but our bill ain't nowhere near $75,000.
Well, I think the prices come down along with the technology, but it's still not a cheap thing.
Oh, that was my question. With the current product in today's sport, what is the best thing going forward, and what's the biggest thing we can improve on? And I'm not just saying INCA, it could be the drivers, fans, whatever.
The biggest thing going for the sport, I don't know, it's probably, I mean, it's a reality show. Where it's from beginning to end, and you really don't know. You have a choreograph, but you don't know what the actors are gonna do. Let's put it that way.
I've never had anybody who told me it's a reality show.
Well, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a reality show. I mean, every racetrack develops the good guys and the bad guys, the guys in the white hats and the black hats, and then it develops its own, you know, Hatfield and McCoy's. I ran into that way back in the beginning, which was part of the Anderson story that I learned rapidly. The Anderson and the Rietzes at the time did not mix well. You know, and Jeff and them were racing Audubon, which was Friday night. Well, Denison could not get a sanction because Audubon they had a 50-mile rule.
Back then. They don't have that now.
No.
Oh.
So that's one of the reasons Denison was the same, because I wanted to sanction. And so Jeff and everybody, they raced at Audubon on Friday nights, but during the fair, which was my first race I ever promoted, was a fair race in Denison.
No pressure.
No pressure at all.
Yeah.
It's a piece of cake.
So, and I think it was a redraw thing, so, you know, everybody came. It was a fair race. That's a big deal over there.
Yeah.
You know, it was the fair races. Same way at Audubon and, you know, all those, any fairgrounds that had a racetrack had fair races. And even if that was the only races they did during the year, they had fair races.
Right.
So anyhow, it was, let's just say that's behind us. And we've become good friends over the years, and, you know, I don't doubt that if I needed something, I could pick up the phone and Jeff would be there in a heartbeat. And I know Jeff's mother, she is just the sweetest lady in the whole wide world, and we always make sure
Oh,
we
yeah.
say hi to each other and everything. So yeah, it's been a ride.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it has been. So give me something you think that the sport could improve on. Not what IMCA could improve on, what the sport itself could improve on.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that it could probably improve on. I don't think we're ever perfect on everything.
No.
But it would be hard to pick any one certain thing.
For me personally, it would be the negativity in the sport. The fans and the drivers bashing the sport, bashing the tracks.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's bad. That's not a good thing.
And there's really not much anybody can do about that though, because you can't tell somebody they can't talk poorly because of this driver or that track, because everybody's gonna say what they want, but
Well, some of the tracks are taking a position about social media and negativity and stuff. That's certainly their right to do that.
there actually is a,
I looked at some of the, back in the whowon.com days, about the only time I would get on there was to correct an obviously false post.
Right.
there is
You know,
one.
he didn't do nothing, he didn't do anything. Well, I've sent letters to drivers at the track level, and they got their warnings and their track level fine and track level suspension. I didn't have to, because I didn't have IMCA for a while. So I had to do this all, you know. And of course, it didn't have very much power, because it was just my track. You know, when I had Denison and Harlan, it would be both tracks. When I had Denison, Harlan, and Alta, it would be all three tracks. You know,
Right.
if you were suspended here, you were suspended there. So, but all of that was part of the Western Iowa Championship Series thing, which was additional money and everything. So, I mean, we had a lot of good things going, and a lot of racers still say that was the best times racing, because they could go here, here, and here, same rules, same officials for the most part. They knew what they were gonna get, and they were gonna be rewarded for it financially if they participated in the series and that kind of thing.
That's the one thing as a driver myself. I've got to mention this. I've had other sanctioning track owners and whatnot go, what is the appeal of IMCA for you as a driver? Easy. I can go to Texas, I know what my rural package is. I can go to Montana, I know what my rural package is. I was like, the payout, what I've seen from track to track is gonna be within $50 either way, for the most part. I was like, I know what I'm doing. When I go to Vegas.
IMCA does not set a minimum or a maximum purse.
No, not the purse, but I have noticed that from track to track.
They have to do that to be
Yeah.
competitive with each other.
Right.
Because they're competing for drivers and
But last year I go to the Duel in the Desert. I've never been to Vegas. I never, let alone race the track. But I didn't even have to look at the rules package. I knew exactly what my rules package was. When you go to some of these other competing sanctions that sanction various tracks, it's like one track will have its own set of rules, and then the other track will have a totally different set of rules, but yet they're under the same sanction, and it's confusing. And you're like, I ain't got enough time to sit here and read 5 different sets of rules to go run, 5 different tracks under one sanction when I just go IMCA, go run, what'd you say, 200 tracks, and I don't have to think about it, just go run, go race.
you know you're going to be pretty much competitive with what you got.
Yeah, and I love that.
And depending on your location across the country, IMCA is more abundant in some areas than other sanctions
Oh yeah,
are also.
we don't have a big presence in like Ohio and Kentucky and those kind of places. But again, Race Saver Sprint Cars is pushing us into those areas. There's a Sprint Car Series in Indiana. I think that's the name of it. The sprint cars are really exploding.
Yeah.
So that's part of our growth. But the other classes, the modified division is picking up again. And I think some of that has to do with the crate and making it affordable to be competitive again. And it's, the crate's got its disadvantages.
Yep.
If you wound it somehow, you're not gonna be able to fix it overnight.
No.
For the most part, and maybe not for that week. So if you're gonna points chase, you either need to have another crate or your old plane motor ready to put back in it. Which
Right.
is perfectly legal to do. You can switch back and forth.
Yep.
But once you put racing crate, you can't claim.
We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about Super Nationals, 2016 Super Nationals. Boy, this is an exciting year for you guys. Yes, it is. And then we're going to talk about that crate a little bit, throw out some ideas and stuff like that. So stay tuned. It's Slinging Dirt. We'll be right back.
Does your car smell as bad as Jamie Songer does? Come on down and we'll take care of you. Well, we're gonna scrub all your vinyl, we're gonna clean all your seats, your carpet, everything. We're gonna put a conditioner on it, make a nice shine. It's gonna last for a long, long time. Then we're gonna head to the outside of your car. We're gonna do a nice hand wash with a buff with a nice hand wax finish. Call us at 282-4339.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. Still here with Tom Gutowski, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend. Let's just get right into it. Super Nationals 2016.
Coming up fast.
It is, just a couple weeks now.
Yep. Pre-tech starts on Sunday the 4th. And all the cars will have been pre-tech by, I guess, race time on Wednesday. There might be a few stragglers that might try and qualify.
How many cars are you guys predicting to come in for Nationals this year?
I think last year we had like 870 something like that.
Now, for those of you that don't pay enough attention to dirt track, that's 870 cars in 6 days in and out of this racetrack.
Yeah, it's a lot of cars. And this year we're pleased to add the Southern Sport Mods to it. We've been running a separate event in Texas, and they've been wanting the Super Nationals is the Super Nationals. So
I'm sure they've
it's the
heard
biggest
about it.
dirt race in the world, and regardless of what anybody else says, and it's you gotta go. You gotta go do it once. If nothing else, just do it once, and chances are you're gonna want to come back.
It's a bucket list item, whether you're a fan that wants to go watch or you're a racer that really should go participate in it, because it's nothing anybody has ever seen until you're there.
No, and it's the ultimate choreographed ballet that has 100 people doing different jobs at different times, but everybody knows where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, what their job is. And I can't say enough about the Boone staff and how they've organized that over the years. And it's not without its little glitches here and there, but when you have something that big with that many people, there's bound to be.
One thing I hear every year when I go there, you always run into somebody that never been there before. The farming sessions.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. A lot of tracks try to emulate that, but I've never seen anybody do it like Boone can do it.
By far, Boone has got one of the best farming programs out there I've ever seen.
Yes. I mean, like 15 minutes and you're ready to go back to racing. And Bob Lawton, the promoter, co-promoter with IMCA of the event, he knows what it takes, and he's got the stuff to do it. And you know, it's amazing to watch, especially when he gets his little dryer out there. Because it does rain once in a while, and we've had a few rain delays. But
And that's another thing with Boone. You're there for 6, sometimes 7 days. You can hit all 4 seasons in that time period.
yeah, you can. Yes, you can. And other times it could be the hottest summer day in the world in September.
Right.
You know? And it's a couple of years ago it was extraordinarily hot.
Yeah, I remember that one. Now, we're standing here with our sport mod, our Northern sport mod. What are some of the just basic quick things that you guys would look at rolling through pre-tech?
Well, I would say overall when the car comes rolling in, we're looking at just the exterior of the car, the body. If you're gonna be in victory lane or make get pictures taken and stuff, we want the cars to be legal. So we would start with the body, and generally, we like to start, the way we do our tech sheets, basically at the driver's compartment, so we check that, belts. We have somebody in the pre-tech line that's already checked his suit and helmet and gloves. Super Nationals, if you got tears, rips, or it's oily or greasy, you might as well just go buy a new one because we don't want you to race with it that way.
Right.
So safety is our first priority there.
And really, there's no price on being safe, whether it be from a ripped glove to a shoe with the toe ripped out.
Right, right, yep. It's, safety's number one. And a lot of that is, we publish the minimum safety requirements. There's nothing to prohibit the driver from escalating that up, you know, to 2 and 3 layer suits, underwear. They can spend thousands of dollars on a helmet, you know, that's got the SA stickers. Some are better than others, lighter than others. You know, they'll do that. So it's totally up to them. They can wear arm restraints, but they have to have a window net, even if they do the arm restraints.
Right.
Got to have a neck brace or a head restraint system. Everybody's got to have an aluminum seat. Back when I was racing, we thought we were hot stuff with a molded fiberglass seat. Thank God those days are gone. So anyhow, then we'd probably take the hood off. Buddy, you got a spoiler lip on this hood. That would have to get bent back flat. That, without going back and looking at the rest of the car. Of course, you'd have your wheels and tires on it. We wouldn't see it, but I would see your thin brake rotor that would have to be replaced. If you ever made the tent, we would make you replace that before you raced. And that might get caught in pre-tech depending on the offset of the wheel that you got. So generally, you can tell a lot by looking at a car. People see me looking at a car after heat races and stuff. Well, I can look at the bell housing or the scatter shield. I can look at the exhaust, the header, to make sure it's not a stepped header. If it's got an extension on it or a muffler, I can check that. At the same time, I can see through here a seal bolt that, you know, just a quick glance. Up front, we're looking for steel, steel, steel. After you look at them for a long time, you can tell what's steel and what's aluminum, but I carry a magnet with me. If I'm not sure, I'll just stick it to it. Look at the lower control arm. Look at the spindle, of course. Look at the relationship of the ball joint to the spindle, where it goes through the hole. Those that have been tampered with have a certain characteristic that you look for, because the ball joint's not where it's supposed to be in relation to that hole. Same thing on this side, fuel pump. I can see the belts now through here, that they're V-belt pulleys and not a serpentine belt. Again, with this style of header, I can look at the bolt on the head, and I can see the seal on the timing cover. So it's been sealed by IMCA. And again, the exhaust. And I'll look at the car. Usually, if it does not have a deck hatch on it, then I'll look at the relationship of the pull bar to the drive shaft and the drive shaft lever there. So you can see quite a bit without ever really touching anything.
You say, sounds like pretty much all of it is not really so much at a glance, but just visual. And you guys have seen enough of it where you know what you're looking at.
Right.
Pretty much right off the
Well,
bat.
when you look at thousands of cars, and thousands of cars in a year, I mean, somebody with something different, it sticks out. It catches your eye, catches your attention. And that really makes me want to investigate a little bit further. Why is that looking like that? Or, you know, this or that. And then we try and find out about it. So, other than that, you know, in pre-tech, they would look at a crate engine is required to have a rev limiter, and we would look at the rev limiter and stuff. I look at the wiring. See, here's a loose wire. This would need to be covered with tape on the end. And so, what the hell, buddy? 6,400? Oh, it's supposed to be 6,200. Oh. Did you forget to change the chip or what?
How about me, a fast car?
Yeah, you did. Huh, well, that's the wrong chip, so,
And there are dummy chips out there too that you guys have come
Oh, yeah.
across, aren't there?
yeah, yeah. Well, we've got a tester. You don't even need a tester, you need an ohm meter. You can buy those for $10 anywhere at Radio Shack.
Say most racers,
Test the ohms,
most racers would have that in their trailer anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, for a tech guy to check that is fine, and then, you know, we use a on this type of a box, it's what we call an analog box that uses the chip. By the way, folks, Buddy Ray wasn't cheating. I have his chip in my pocket.
I may or may not have set him up on camera.
There's
with
his
this.
real chip.
I was wondering. Although I'm thinking, did I really own a 6400 chip?
So, to just check the function of the box, we generally put a 3000, or you can put a 2000 chip in it and have the car running and raise the RPM to make sure it works. Well, there's also a tester that MSD makes that we can plug it into this box and test it, and that would actually test for the added resistor that is a cheater box. And if all else fails, there's only 4 screws. You take the box out and there's only 4 screws that take it apart, and you can actually look inside. So we haven't run across a lot of cheated boxes lately because we've been actively looking after the incidents last fall, before the Super Nationals, and and we've learned a little bit.
And that's one of those things, you catch one, you're gonna start looking closer, and then you're gonna get another and another, and word's gonna spread, and guys are gonna, whether they have one or not, they'll have theirs checked a lot of
Well, I'm
times.
pretty sure after the 2 we caught before the Super Nationals that everybody pretty much took their boxes out and got rid of them.
It'd be a pretty smart move.
I would think so, but, you know, we're gonna look at rear suspension, your springs, and a sport mod about being vertical and that kind of stuff. And we're just generally looking for anything that's out of the norm that doesn't look right. And we'll have you fix it, and we'll write it if it needs to be fixed, it'll be on your slip. You sign the slip, we give you your half. That gets filed, and then if you make the infield during your heat race, then we pull that slip out of the file and take it over to your car. I'll have it in my hand, and while they're checking the other things like wheelbase, engine setback, that kind of thing, I'll be looking to make sure that you put roll bar padding in, you bought new gloves, the body's been fixed, the roof slope's been fixed, that kind of thing. Whatever we found out, it has to be fixed. If it's not fixed, you're disqualified out of that race, and you go back and try again. So,
And then for the guys that can make it out of the A qualifier for the big dance, you guys stay up till sunrise.
We have.
Pretty well ripping the cars apart and checking anything and everything.
well, we don't like to be up till sunrise, believe me, but I do remember walking out of there at 6:30 in the morning.
I
Because
remember
it took
walking-
us going through 21 hobby stocks to find 11 legal ones.
I remember
Thank God that doesn't happen very much, and we haven't had that problem again.
I remember 2010, I got done in the tech tent at 4:30, made the 3-hour drive home and went straight to work.
Yeah,
That was a long day, everybody.
yeah. Us, we try to grab a shower and a couple hours of sleep because we got to be back at 8 o'clock the next day, if we're still in the pre-tech stage.
And a non-decaf coffee.
Yes. So,
Now, some interesting trivia that actually Bud and I didn't know about until about 20 minutes ago. Nationals has not always been held at Boone.
no, it hasn't. Actually, there's 5 other racetracks that have had the Super Nationals.
And with the 5 other tracks, we're not going to say what they are. We want the viewers to get a hold of us on Sling and Dirt's Facebook page and tell us what 5 tracks they think they are.
Yep.
Because this is the 34th year,
34th IMCA Super Nationals.
and they've held it at 6 different tracks total.
Right. It's
And
been at Boone though since 1988, if that helps anybody.
there you go. Well, I think outside of
finding out Bud's car is more illegal than what he thought. What made you guys decide to bring the sport mods up, the Southern sport mods up this year? Just
Well, they
reg
want
racers
they
kept asking for
well they want to be part of the Super Nationals, and it's one thing to have their own Southern Sport Mod Super Nationals in Texas, but it's not at the Super Nationals. It's not at Boone, Iowa. It's not that week long of activity and camaraderie and meeting new people and making new friends and all the things that a huge event like that bring together. It's an event. It's not a race. It's an event.
And for everybody that runs a Southern that hasn't come up to even watch, be prepared for some stuff that you're not really supposed to be seeing in public. Just saying.
I think they tamed that down a little bit. The Chicken Man, I don't know, has been around for a couple of years.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't seen him either. I remember watching him come through the pits behind a golf cart on a scoop shovel.
Yeah.
With nothing.
Not on.
Yeah.
With not much on.
Yeah.
Other than a smile and his chicken head.
Yep.
So.
Are you guys expecting a pretty good car count off the Southern cars?
Yeah.
Or at least verbally?
I think they've got a pre-entry list now, and I'm thinking they said it was 40 or maybe just a little over 40.
That's not bad for the first year.
No, that's a long haul. Texas is a long ways away.
It is.
Even when you're in Texas,
Yeah, there's nothing close in Texas.
there's nothing close in Texas. So, no, I'm sure everybody's going to be very proud and happy with the turnout of the Southern Sport Mods, and it's just one more class. We got a pre-tech, and we got some inspectors that have been with us for a few years that are from Texas. That will obviously assign them to the Southern Sport Mods because they know what they're looking for. They work with that car every day,
Right.
and so we look for everything. It's going to be a good time.
Good. Nationals this year, they're September 5th through the 11th?
5th through the 10th.
5th through the 10th. So racing starts on Labor Day and will run all the way through Saturday.
Right.
So, and once again, if you haven't been there, if you've only heard about it, it is truly a show to come see, even if you can only make it for a day.
Yep, any day. It's going to be good racing.
And if you decide to show up on Saturday for the big dance, you might want to show up early because standing on the catwalk is going to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's hard to find a seat. Place is definitely sold out,
Yep.
and it's amazing how many people that place will hold for that race.
And for no bigger than what the track is, it holds way more than people think.
Oh yeah. So,
But
and they've added more parking for the racers this year, along with the expansion of the Southern Sport Mods. Their race is Monday. They do a complete show on Monday. So basically, they're taking place in late models. Late models we moved to Thursday after last year's rain out on Monday. It worked very well for everybody, and so that'll really allowed us to bring the Southern Sport Mods in to fill that spot in the program. So.
Good. Well, I think as far as right now goes, we're going to head off for another commercial break. Tom, it's been great having you.
Well,
it really
thank
has.
you for inviting me. It's been fun chatting with you guys.
We'll be right back on Slinging Dirt.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. Come to Joe's to experience speed, join the competition, and ride the fastest indoor track around. Our professionally designed indoor karting track is perfect for arrive and drive racing, race classes, and racing competitions. We offer affordable pricing options, membership packages, event outings, and so much more. Stop in today to get registered for your next race, and don't forget to like us on Facebook for deals, giveaways, and more. Visit us online at joeskarting.com.
There's a lot of history with Tom.
Honestly, I didn't realize his history was that in depth with racing.
Yeah.
Because I've only known him from when he had Shelby County Speedway to the present.
Yeah.
I didn't realize prior to that he had a performance shop. He did a little bit with the street racing stuff, but I didn't realize he was that much into the Corvettes and the Corvette road racing.
I didn't realize all the road racing and the Corvette stuff, which I thought was really cool. The other thing that I found interesting was even back when he was doing the Corvettes and the road racing thing, there was always dirt racing parallel to that. He may not have been involved, but it had a say, and he knew those people.
Right. He got in with the dirt world without getting into the dirt world, just by knowing the people that he knew.
Yeah, he's a very successful businessman, very successful insurance guy. Didn't realize he was in the Air Force either.
Neither did I.
Yeah, Tom was so cool answering our questions. The one thing I will tell you folks, on Facebook, a lot of people were coming to me with, ask Tom this, ask Tom that. We didn't know how long the interview was going to go with Tom, and we wanted to get as much info from Tom as possible. With that being said, because of the length of the interview, we simply ran out of time. We couldn't ask questions. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't ask questions after the cameras were done, which we went through a lot of questions.
Well, and some of the questions we did kind of screen before we started filming, and he did say to a couple of them, I'd rather not on camera.
Yeah.
And that was fine. That's his choice. We're not going to push questions or push the line if we don't need to, but we at least let him know what questions were out there, and we let him pick and choose the ones that he wanted to answer or could answer.
You know, for as long as I've been racing, I just keep going back to the fact that anytime I had a question for Tom, he was always fair. And one thing I was telling you the other day was, Tom never talks, in my experience, watching him correspond with other racers, promoters, drivers, fans, whatever, and then even with myself, he doesn't talk down to you. He doesn't make you feel dumb or stupid. He's very matter of fact. He's to the point, which he needs to be in his role.
In all my experiences with him, and like I said, I've been with him quite a few times in the tech area at different tracks, but in all my experiences with him, you're right, he doesn't talk down to a driver. He doesn't talk down to a crew guy. He will talk with somebody or talk to them, but I've never seen him talk down or run down somebody for any reason.
You know, it doesn't matter if Tom Gutowski was with IMCA or any other sanctioning body or whatever. As a whole, when you look at the sport of dirt track racing, Tom has been so influential, and he's such an integral part of dirt racing, especially here in the Midwest, you know, and even now on the national level with IMCA. We're all better racers, we're better teams for having Tom there in our corner.
And for us, it helps out a lot because we're in Council Bluffs and he lives in Omaha. He's literally a 20-minute drive away.
If that.
So if you got a question in our area about the car or something else, not only reaching him on the phone, anybody can do, but if he needs to come over to the shop, if he's got the time, it's not that far of a trip, and he's not against doing it.
No. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to come right back here on Slinging Dirt. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to Slinging Dirt. You know, in the Tom Gutowski interview, he had mentioned the trivia question. That's all I'm going to say as of this moment. But Matt and I were just talking during break. once again, the trivia question is Super Nationals. It's been held. Here's what we want to know. We want to know how many tracks has it been held at, and I want to know, Matt and I both want to hear from you guys, what years was the Super Nationals? We need to know the year and the track the Super Nationals were held at and when.
Well, it's how many different tracks,
How many different tracks?
what years they were at which tracks, and it has to be responded to on the Slinging Dirt page.
Yep, first person to get everything correct will win 6 free races to Joe's Karting, but you have to respond on the Slinging Dirt page. And speaking of Super Nationals being at Boone Speedway, what the hell?
I'm gonna guess you're gonna bring up the slide job from Boone Saturday night, huh? In the sport mods.
We are, yeah. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't mind a slide job. I have pulled slide jobs. I've pulled a bigger slide job than anybody out there. There's no video of it, but Harley Meyer seen it at Super Nationals back in 2012. It was in a B feature or C feature, something like that. It was late it would have been late that night, early that morning, 7:30. We're watching the sun come up at Super Nationals. It was that year. And I pulled an amazing slide job on damn near half the field going into turn 1. We started, I want to say 13th or 15th, somewhere in there. Went into turn 1 to the bottom. Everybody went to the high side. I went to the bottom, shot up to the outside of turn 2, passed the whole field. Didn't work out very well. The whole field passed me right back on turn 2. Didn't wreck nothing. I will tell you as a driver, I have pulled slide jobs on drivers, and I have had other drivers pull slide jobs on me. Now, with the slide job, a lot of stuff can get tore up. It can really get tore up. But I had an A-Mod racer here last year. We were talking about cars getting torn up and stuff like, stuff in that general train of thought. And he said something I never thought about. He's like, this isn't NASCAR, bud. We don't have 500 laps to, settle in and get it into a routine and be patient. We have 20 laps. In some classes, way less than that. I know sport mods most generally are 15, 16 laps. You have to make your move right now. Right now.
And every racer and every fan knows there's a clean slide job and a dirty slide job. And sometimes you go for the clean slide job and you wind up with the dirty, or sometimes you go for the dirty and get lucky and it turns clean. Am I for a slide job? Yeah.
If the situation at hand calls for it, if you're running 15th and you're not even a 14th place car, you're running 15th and you got somebody who's actually a top 5 car, a caution came out, they're stuck in the back, they're trying to come through the field. Why in the hell, when you're running 15th, you ain't making no ground, why would you pull a slide job on somebody trying to come through the field to make some ground up? But now I'm gonna tell you right now, if I'm running 3rd or 4th and I'm running with the leaders and I think I can make some ground up with a slide job, I'm gonna pull the slide job. But you have a very good point. I don't think people go in the pits, they strap their helmet on, get in the car, they go, you know what, Matt, we're just gonna go pull a slide job on so-and-so and take somebody out. Nobody does that.
Well, and with the last 3 or 4 weeks in our area, central Iowa area, there's one guy out there, it's got a lot of people pissed off because of this slide job. There's a lot of people ready to take it into their own hands because he's driving like bonehead, I'll say it.
Yeah.
And it's not a now and then, it's an all the time thing. And for
Right.
the drivers that do it all the time, there's gonna be something tore up, whether it's their car, somebody else's car, you're gonna piss people off.
Right.
So I can see do it as needed, do it when you, I guess 90% know or hope you can pull it off clean. Because you don't always do it intentionally to take somebody out.
I was out at I-80 Speedway here 2015 or 2014. Cody Olson, guy is no slouch. He's won a bunch of races in that 777 car out at I-80, Shelby County. I think he's even won maybe over at Denison. The kid's fast. Him and I were trading slide jobs one night. I thought that was the funnest race ever. On that particular night, we were pretty evenly matched. He would have a good run going into 1, I would have a good run going into 3, and then 2 and 4 we were swapped, vice versa. Now, with that being said, one thing I don't like is somebody will pull a slide job on somebody, a good, clean slide job. It is what it is. But the guy that just got passed via the slide job will get really upset, and instead of lifting, he'll just run right through the back bumper, and then he'll take out both cars. Folks, when a slide job is pulled on you and it's a good, clean, slide job, you're gonna know if it's gonna be a clean. So why in the world would you just purposely take somebody out? So if you take somebody out, if you take the guy out that pulled the slide job on you, in my eyes, then you need to be penalized. Now, folks, if you pull a slide job on somebody and if you can tell, I don't know if I can really get this done, or you just pull one to try to pull something out of your ass, and then you just go right over the front of the guy's car, take out the hood and the bumper and everything, then that person that pulled the slide job, that person needs to be penalized. But back to Boone, look at this video. This video makes no sense. It's not even a slide job.
No, and I've watched this video.
I've watched it probably 20 times.
I've probably watched it about that. And for anybody that knows what dirt track is, you know there's going to be slide jobs. And when the slicing and dicing starts, it makes for good racing. Doesn't matter if it's the front of the field or the middle of the field. But with this deal, I'll say it, I think Boone was completely in the wrong on this call. The guy made a clean pass for second place. Third place went to dive down underneath him, and unfortunately, fourth place was there in the way. Was it intentional? No. Was Boone in the wrong on this call? I agree with the rest of the nation that yeah, it is.
Some of the most exciting races at Boone during the Super Nationals, Todd Cooney was in this. I'm pretty sure it was either 15 or 14. I'm pretty sure it was 2015. A lot of people were calling it Slide Job City. Todd Cooney's up there, and it was an amazing, fun race to watch. The announcers on I believe it's IMCA TV, they were just going haywire. It was just slide job after slide job after slide job. It was exciting to watch. Fans love that. Hell, us drivers and crew members, we love to watch that. We're like, did you see that? He just slid jobbed 2 guys. And it was good, clean, hard racing.
Well, and that's something else, not only with Boone, but with Super Nationals in general. I've seen races, and it doesn't matter what class, who it is, it makes no difference. I've seen races where guys will drive over cars, and it's fine. I've seen races where guys will bump somebody, and they get the black flag. I've been a part of that side of it. When I was with Jesse, I don't know how many times we'd bump somebody and get the black flag. So now we're up even later, racing even longer. Right. But then you got guys in the very next race, they'll just drive right through you, and somehow they all missed it. Yeah, Not one official could see that happened.
Yeah, the one thing I do want to tell everybody, it was pretty funny. I saw Brett Root's comment on Facebook and I chuckled. So Brett Roof's beautiful, beautiful wife, Virginia, had made some barbecue sliders. And I was like, I just see where this is gonna go. So he likes barbecue sliders. And he's like,
those sliders aren't allowed.
Well, that's what people were saying. They're like, sliders aren't allowed. Brett Root's like, hey, I'm equal opportunist for sliders. I like sliders. I don't discriminate against sliders. I like sliders. This was not an IMCA deal with no slide jobs allowed at Boone. This comes down to Boone making that call.
Right.
Not Brett Root, not Tom Gutowski, not IMCA.
It's the facility itself.
Right. And a lot of people were like, well, it's stupid that IMCA is not allowing any slide jobs. No. Back up. Go read. Everybody has seen the post. Go read the post coming out of Boone Speedway. No slide jobs allowed, especially when it can cause when it can cause tore up cars on the track. They don't want the slide jobs out there. This is not an IMCA. This is not a Brett Root. This is not a Tom Gutowski. This is a facility management calling on this one. But
it'll make for a very interesting 6 days at Boone, though.
That's what I'm wondering. Super Nationals, they're coming right up.
Well, and there's even been people saying whether it be a weekly show or it be Super Nationals, if you can't do a slide job, whether you're receiving or giving, they're just not going to show up to the track.
Yeah.
They will not bring their car.
Super Nationals is going to be probably the very first race that I know of on the national level. You're going to see slide jobs, especially with the prestige, the amount of respect that goes into winning Super Nationals, what the Super Nationals means to the dirt racing world. You're going to see USMTS racers there. You're going to see Lucas Oil late model racers there in the late model division. You got the sport mods coming up this year for the first time. The Southern Sport mods are coming up for the first time. You think they're not going to try to put on a show if that means that they can win with a slide job? It makes me wonder what the calling is on slide jobs at Super Nationals is going to be.
Well, and especially with the Southern cars, they only have one day to do their show from start to finish.
Yeah.
They're only doing it on Monday, so they've got one chance to make it in and hopefully
Look at the late
take
models.
the win.
Late models Thursday night.
Yep.
So, tell you what, we're talking about slide jobs. Let's go listen to what Jamie Songer has to say on, because slide jobs can result in tore up race cars.
Right, and I mean, Jamie's got a tore up car right now at the moment.
Yep.
So,
Let's see what Jamie Songer's got to say about skinny pedal and the fat pedal in the middle. So, without further ado, here's this week's Songer Says.
Warning, the related content may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so I've been noticing a lot of videos of a lot of torn up cars. And I just gotta ask, do any of you other jackasses know what the hell the brake pedal on the left is? It's a brake! Or the one on the right, the foot can come off it in the middle of a wreck. You don't have to stay on the little pedal the whole time. Your foot can come off. And I don't care if a guy screws up, messes up, gets crossed up in front of you. You can't drive through him. Bad things happen. And unfortunately, not just for the guy you hit, but everybody behind you and him get involved in it. I mean, I seen 5 or 6 wrecks last week on video that all could have been avoided by one guy either tapping with his left foot or lifting with his right foot. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't enjoy working on my car. I don't enjoy watching someone else's hard-earned money be destroyed in a matter of minutes. Now, some wrecks, they're unavoidable, and they happen. But others, I mean, if all you have to do is lift slightly off the throttle to save somebody from completely rolling their car and destroying it, what's the big deal? You're not gonna lose that much ground. If you're good, you'll make it up. Or a yellow will come out and it won't matter. More than likely, if he's crossed up, a yellow's gonna come out. Then you'll make up the ground anyway. But this bullshit of I gotta drive through everybody because I gotta get there right now, and stay on the gas. If you all watched Days of Thunder and they said you gotta drive to the wreck, that doesn't always work, just like the 4 perfectly matched tires. You're all living in a dream world. So give a little respect to your fellow competitors, and if somebody crosses up in front of you, lift. It's not that big a deal.
Good old Jamie Songer calls it how he sees it. It's bullshit. Normally I don't swear like that, but he did in his video, and he's got it right though. He's got a tore up race car, but he has brought up a good point. You know, it is the end of the year. The 2 biggest times you're gonna see hard racing. You're gonna see hard racing right out of the chute gate at the beginning of the year. People are trying to establish those track points. And then at the very end of the year, you're gonna see people racing really, really hard to get what's left of the track points, especially when we have those points battles going on. But he is right. You know, people wanna see the fans in the stands. I don't care who you are. The fans in the stands, even us drivers and crew members watching the races, we expect the occasional wreck. We expect it. It's dirt track racing. But to purposely go into the corner and just bankboard off somebody to turn the car, or you get mad and you just go into the corner and you tear a car up, you know, try to give a little bit of room to each other. He's right. The cost of racing has gone up so much. People don't want to work on their cars 24/7. people don't want to invest their entire life savings into a car just to have somebody go out there and tear it up.
And there's always going to be the runaway racer that just leaves the field behind. And there's always going to be the group of cars that's battling door to door, and they're rubbing and racing and beating and banging. But I don't care if it's going for first, going for fifth, going for 15th. If you got to blow it into the corner and just use somebody as a bang board, you're going to piss people off. People are going to come back for you. They're going to come back and do the same to you, and most of the time you're the first one to bitch that Jimmy John ran into me. Well, unfortunately, you did it to him last week, so turnabout's fair play.
Jimmy John's freaky fast.
Well, then I guess he shouldn't be running 15th.
Well, he's running like a Subway then. I mean, yeah. I mean, the only way you can get worse is if you ran like a Blimpie. So, I tell you what, Jamie Songer, he is correct though. People, in today's racing, we need to start showing a little bit more respect for each other. With that being said, you know, if I'm racing against you, I don't want you just backing off from me and, you know, just letting me go by you, and I'm not gonna back off and let you go by me. But we're out there to put on a show for the fans and everybody involved. So let's put on the show. But while we're putting on the show, that doesn't mean we need to go out there and tear each other's cars up. You know, use the brake pedal.
Well, and that can
Lift a little bit.
That can bring up another interesting topic. Not everybody wants to see a wreck. Everybody expects to see a wreck at some point through the night. Well, if everybody's out there beating and banging on each other, it makes the night longer. It makes the program longer. It makes people piss and moan because it took 7 hours to do a 4-hour show. So now they're not coming back next week. So essentially, the cleaner anybody can race, the more efficient the show can go, the faster it can get over, the more fans can come to the pits, mingle with the drivers, the crews.
Yep.
Better chance of coming back next week.
So, tell you what, talking about coming back next week, we're about out of time for today's show. Like I said, it ran a little long. We talked about that in the beginning, but next week we're going to be back. Matt, you have been asking some questions on Sling and Dirt. Go to the Sling and Dirt page. We're looking for feedback on the shows. We got some tricks up our sleeves. I'm not going to go into detail what they are, but we want to do some things yet this year. Looking forward to next year already and wanting to change some things up for next year. So keep in contact with us on Sling and Dirt TV on Facebook, and we're usually pretty quick about getting back with everybody. So until next week, Matt Dennis, I'm Buddy Ray. We'll catch you on the flip side.